Going on, nation? It is Victory Monday, so let me hear Raiders. What's going on, Raider Nation? It is your boy, Exacting Raider. Part of Raiders Primos, and it is the Real Raiders Talk. Guys, we are 5-7. The Raiders beat the Los Angeles Chokers 27-20. Let's get in some stats real quick. The real stat I want to get into is our second half play. The Raiders scored 17 points in the second half compared to the Chargers' 7 points that they scored in the fourth quarter. That was the only points they were going to get out of the second half. For our offense, for our leader in Derek Carr, he was 16 for 30, 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was not sacked at all. He had a quarterback rating of 50.8 with a overall rating with a passer rating of 89.6. Josh Jacobs, 26 carries for 144 yards, 5.5 averaging with 1 touchdown. Longest of the day was 20 yards. Zamir White and Amir Abdullah also got in on the action, with White getting carries for 6 yards, Amir Abdullah getting 1 carry for 4 yards. And then we go to the receiving it was the Davante Adams show with 8 catches, 100 yards with 2 touchdowns on 12 targets. Matt Collins has 5 receptions for 35 yards. Foster Moreau had 1 catch for 32. Josh Jacobs had 2 catches for 6 yards, and Abdullah had no catches for no yards on 1 target. And the team as a whole has 16 catches for 250 yards, as we know, and 2 touchdowns. And then if we go on the defensive side, Nate Hobbs on his return, he had 8 total tackles. They were all solo tackles, but the MVP I am going to give on the defensive side of the ball is Chandler Jones with 6 total tackles, 5 solos, 3 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, 1 pass defended, quarterback hits. Guys, Jones, Chansworthy was good. Salute, Raider. Salute, we got Chansworthy in the building. Salute, guys. Man, what a victory it was yesterday. Going into the game, you know, there was a lot to be optimistic, but we said we had to run the ball, and that proved to be efficient. We had 29 carries as a team with 154 yards and 1 touchdown. It was very efficient running the football. And like I said, if you run the football, you're helping Derek Carr out, because Derek Carr is that quarterback that he cannot carry the team on his back. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that and say he's been playing good football. He has, but he hasn't been playing quarterback football that, he's going to throw 4 touchdowns, throw over 350 yards every game where he can carry this team on his back. Derek Carr is not that type of guy. I'm not it. He has a running game. He has a running attack that can back him up. We don't really have to depend on Derek Carr a lot. It's been proven this season, when we put the ball comes down to Derek Carr's hands, he's going to lose you some football games. I know he had the overtime pass on to Davante, Denver. I give him that. But we had 6 other opportunities. So my point still stands with Derek Carr that he's just not that guy that's going to carry this football team. So it was really a balanced attack. Great coaching by Josh McDaniels. It was a balanced attack between passing and the running attack. Chargers had to respect the run. Why? He called a flea flicker and it went for a 45-yard touchdown because the Chargers had to respect the run. And that flea flicker worked because how aggressive this Chargers defense is. They want to get after the run. They want to not let Josh Jacobs beat them. But unfortunately, Davante Adams was that person to end up beating them. Let me get in some of these comments real quick. Chance already said, man, we just got to keep winning. Hey, hopefully, man. Raider Gio, we need to stay consistent. Now, no more hiccups if we want to sneak into the playoffs. Glad you brought that up, Raider Gio, because real quick, I also wanted to go back to our little playoff picture. I did yesterday. Yesterday we kind of predicted what are some scenarios that can happen when if the Raiders were to win Chargers. Well, now that Sunday's passed and we still have the Monday night game really doesn't affect us because it's the NFC matchup between the Bucs and the Saints. Right now, so the Raiders are 5-7, 10th seed right now. The Chargers are 6-6. They fell out of the playoffs. They were in the playoff picture. I believe they were not in the playoff picture. Sorry, they're not. Patriots and Chargers are really the main two teams that people are focusing on that are in the hunt. We just beat the Chargers. We got the Patriots in 2 weeks. Jets are the team that I really feel we have to hope that they lose out. Either lose out or they just shit somehow, some way. We have to somehow get over them. They maybe lose 3 games. They fall maybe to 9-8, and we could get to 10-7, and we can sneak into Patriots. And you got the Chiefs again. You got the Steelers, who the Steelers are actually rising up too. They're 5, so we cannot be sleeping on that Steelers game because the Steelers are starting to win football games. Also, I believe they're on a 4-game win streak. If I'm mistaken, either 4-game or 3-game win streak, just like us. So that game is really going to be important. They got to go out and beat the Steelers. I mean, I think we all knew this going into the game 2 weeks ago against Denver. We had to win out in order to possibly sniff the playoffs. That Raiders fan, I will get into that real quick because I'm actually going to that game. So I will get into that real quick. My picture, guys. Really, the teams we have to watch is really the New York Jets, the Patriots, and then, of course, the Chargers. Those are the 3 teams we have to look out. The Miami are 8-4. Cincinnati Bengals are 8-4. I really don't see us getting the 5th or the 6th seed. I feel like the 5th and 6th seed is really just up for grabs between the Bengals and the Dolphins. The 7th seed, that is probably the 1 seed that is really up for grabs between the Jets, the Patriots, the Chargers, and us, the Raiders. But the Raiders are such in a hole with that they put themselves in. They have to win out. They could sneak into 9-8. I've heard some possibilities. Is a real possibility, but if you want to play it safe, you got to win out. You have to go. You got to go beat the Rams. You got to go beat the Patriots. Then you got to beat the Steelers, and then you got the 49ers, and then you got the Chiefs. That last game, which I believe that the Chiefs, they probably are going to play their starters because I don't think they're going to want to see the Raiders in the playoffs. They're going to want to dash the Raiders' playoff hopes on the last week. So but we have to see where this team is at going into that. Like I said, I told it was funny. I told Big Mike this, and I told Kaneton this. I cannot believe that I'm talking playoffs at 5-7, considering that we were at 2-7. I was writing the playoffs off. I was writing the season off. And this is what happens when you're winning. You're winning football games. Okay, then you could start talking to the playoff picture. But the Raiders made it hard on themselves. Isn't it fitting being a Raiders fan? We always like making it shit harder on ourselves, right? So the Raiders are 5-7. Like I said, guys, watch the Jets, watch the Patriots, watch the Chargers. Those are the 3 teams that we're going to be looking on Sundays, on Monday, and on Thursdays if they got any Thursday night matchups. Those are the 3 teams that we have to look at, and then of course the Raiders got to handle their own business. They got to win football games. That Raiders fans. Your thought flexing the Sunday night game from us. I said this in a Raiders chat. I said that is what happens when you had all these expectations. You had all these expectations, and you're just shitting the bed. Yeah, the Raiders are winning. They on a 3-game win streak, but they're 5-7. They're not in the playoff picture. They are not even seen as a playoff contender. Even at 5-7, even though they're not mathematically out of the playoffs, they're not seen as a playoff contender. The Patriots, of course, that gets to be on their playoff hopes. But for us, people are already counting us out that we're not a playoff team. So that's why they flexed it. Now, flexing it to the Giants and the Commanders, that's where I'm like, okay, if you're gonna flex that game, flex it to a good game that people are gonna want to watch. But the thing is, with the Commanders and the Giants, they have playoff implications given their records and given the division that they're in. It's a divisional matchup. They could be fighting for a wild card spot, or at least some playoff advantage with that game. So it really has a lot of playoff indications on that game. That's why they flexed it. I really thought they were going to go with the Bills and the Dolphins, considering the first matchup that we've seen with those two teams. And man, that was a hell of a game. I would have loved to see that on Sunday Night Football rather than Commanders and Giants. But both games have playoff indications, so that's why we got flexed out. I believe they just seen the Raiders and Patriots. Like, there's really not a lot of playoff indications in this game, considering the Commanders and the Giants or the Bills and the Dolphins. That's why we got flexed out. I'm not mad at it because I was expecting it to come, given the way the season was going. So I'm really not surprised that they flexed us out. I thought they would have probably left it, given, who's to say the Raiders are 6-7, they win next week, and the Patriots are 6-7. But then again, they're both 6-7, looking outside of the playoff picture. And the win probably doesn't do anything unless the Jets somehow go on a losing skid. But even then, the Jets will be 7-7 or 7-6 on that week. There's really, if you gotta look at it from the outside looking in, and there's really not much from the Raiders and Patriots game that you're gonna get out of. Does it have playoff indications? It does, but just not as much as the other game week. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Losing those damn games we gave away may haunt us. I said that Raiders fan. I said that we could finish 10-7. But the games that we lost early in the season, like the Cardinals, the Chiefs, the Jaguars game, the leads that we blew early in the season, the games that we lost early in the season, those are really going to hurt us. If like I said, if you're looking at the playoff picture, you're 5-7, but you could easily be 8-4 or even 7-5 in the playoff picture. Or if you're looking out, you're looking in, but you're still kind of in the mix, if that makes sense. But because you started off 2-7, you blew 3 leads that you had. You could easily, now you're looking out in, and you need hell of stuff to go right, and you also need a win out, and maybe you can lose another game and still be in the playoff picture. But theoretically speaking, I would rather have the Raiders win out, because then you're playing a save. If they lose one more game, then we could probably officially call it a wrap. At 2-7, I was calling it a wrap already, but 5-7, hey, you never know what can happen. They're going to play a really banged up Rams team on Thursday Night Football. And then you got the Patriots coming in, whose offense is really struggling. And then you have the Steelers, we're going to be going against a rookie quarterback and another offense that is struggling. Their defense is still okay, but it's another offense that is struggling. Then we're going to go against the Niners, who just lost Jimmy G for the year. They don't have Trey Lance. It's a third-string quarterback, but that defense is really going to be the reason the Niners could pull out a win. So attack that defense, they have a good chance of winning that game. And also to say our defense needs to come and play. Really, that Chiefs and Raiders game that's possibly going to worry me. But let me get your thoughts on the game yesterday. Like I said in the thumbnail, we're 5-7. How are we feeling? A lot of people are talking playoffs. I'm even talking playoffs. And I feel like we shouldn't, though. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we shouldn't talk playoffs, because at the end of the day, we're still 5-7. We're still looking on the outside in. And this should not be our expectations. Our expectations was the Raiders to be already in the playoff picture at this point, with a better record than 5-7. Hell, they could have been 7-5 or 8-4, like I said, and they could have been in the playoff picture, possibly, given the other teams and how well they're playing some good football. But 5-7, that is not where our expectations should have been. We should not be happy about 5-7. Now, of course, I'm okay with winning, but is it too little, too late? That's my thinking. Derek Carr is looking like he's starting to understand the offense a little more. And him and Devontae, or that connection, him and Devontae, that connection is still, it seems it still is there. Like I said, I mean, Devontae really is the man. 8 receptions for a buck 77 and 2 touchdowns. He is that guy. For all those reporters saying that Devontae was going to have a down year with the Raiders because Derek Carr is not Aaron Rodgers, well, all you got to do is throw it to him 100 times, and he'll have the same numbers as he did with the Packers. Guys, I wanted to give you guys the injury report, and it's a lengthy injury report for this Thursday night game. Amir Abdullah was put on the injury report. He was limited today in practice with a hamstring. Andrew Billings did not play with his fibula injury. Brandon Bolden was limited with the calf. Curtis Bolton was limited with the ankle. Jayon Brown did not practice with the hand. Tyler Hall did not practice with a back injury. Deron Harmon was limited with a quadricep. Jesper Horsted, he's likely not going to play because he's dealing with the concussion. Josh Jacobs was limited again. He has a quad and a calf injury. Andre James with his quadricep was limited. Denzel Perryman was full with the wrist. Isaiah Palomalu was limited with the ankle. Trent Siege was full with the ankle. Kendall Vickers was limited with the back. And Rockin' Sin did not practice today with the knee injury. As for the Rams, we know Aaron Donald is not going to play. Troy Hill was limited with the groin. Travian Howard did not practice. Terrell Lewis did not practice. David Long did not practice. Lance McCutcheon did not practice. Ben Skronek was limited with the shoulder. And John Warford, their backup quarterback, did not practice with a neck injury. He did get injured on Sunday. So we might be going against the Rams' third string quarterback. Did you see Waller Renfro playing? I don't see Renfro playing. I want to give a 50% chance on winning, considering the hamstring injury that Waller was dealing with. He was put on IR for a reason, and you don't want to rush him back. So I feel a decision Thursday night, but Renfro, I just feel Renfro's been taking a lot of unnecessary hits. That concussion injury that he was dealing with earlier lightly, and then he has another injury that is an oblique injury. I think that's going to keep him off feet, and you bring him back against the Patriots. But yeah, Darren Waller, I want him to come back too, because the thing is with Darren Waller, Raider Gio, Darren has something to prove. You know, a lot of people are coming for Darren Waller saying he does not want to play for the Raiders. He doesn't want to play football. He wants to focus more with his rapping. More honestly, his actions are showing that. Like, I mean, as a Raider fan, that's what I was looking at. I'm like, bro, Darren Waller, how you just gonna, how you quit on this team? That's what it's looking like. You're just quitting on this team. But Darren Waller saying that's not the case. He understands that he's going to get criticism, and people are not going to understand his role in this offense and him and that injury. But so hopefully he comes back Thursday, and I hope he balls out. I hope he makes every hater eat their words. That Raiders fan, anybody wants some barbecue chicken? Man, I seen that comment from drawing a blank from Keenan Allen, and Jacobs and Nate Hobbs just, clown on him. It was funny. Josh Jacobs, if you guys haven't seen it, go check out Josh Jacobs' press. They asked him, about the game, and Josh Jacobs saying going into the game he was extra motivated, because it's a divisional game, and then he wanted to talk about what Keenan Allen said. He's like, nah, I'm not going to say that, and then he just said barbecue chicken. But yeah, we love that barbecue chicken. I believe Keenan Allen likes that barbecue chicken because he's holding an L now with the and I knew, and the thing is, I knew the Raiders could do this. I knew the Raiders can beat the Chargers. Week 1, I really thought the Raiders could beat the Chargers, but those interceptions, the turnovers killed us. It looked like it was going to be like that. Another game where it was just turnovers. Derek Carr threw the pick 6. But low-key, it's like, that's the worst part, is that these turnovers are starting to pile up. Derek Carr had 2 interceptions last week, and then he had an interception this week. And then also not even just Derek Carr, but I want to talk about Dixon. 3 straight games he has missed a field goal. It seems like as Raider fans, nothing can go right. I mean, it's good though. Look at film. and you can look at it after a win. That's the best part. But like I said, guys, Daniel Carlson needs to start making those field goals. Derek Carr needs to stop missing wide open receivers that are open. I get it. Devontae is your guy, but Matt Collins was open for another touchdown. Could have been his third of the day. I mean, we got to win. I'm happy, but there's still things that are being shown out there on the field that, yeah, we won, but those same mistakes that those same guys are making, whether it's Derek Carr or it's Matt Collins, not getting open or dropping passes, or in Keelan Cole dropping passes. I mean, Chandler Jones finally woke up and was getting to the quarterback. It's those little, it's the mistakes that people that they're making. Like Chandler Jones, I'm like, yeah, you had a good game, but where was that all season? I applaud you. It's like I said, it's good to, talk about it after a win because you can move on from it, you can learn from it, and you can learn on it after a win. But where was this all season? Guys, 5-7 was not my expectation. If my expectation was us getting 3 wins, then I'd be like, okay, like 5-7, I could be okay with that. But I did not expect 3 wins. Yeah, at least 12 to 13 wins this season, given the talent that they have on this offense. And that 5-7 just does not sit well with me. Now, am I happy we're winning? Of course. I don't want to, take that away from players. They earn it. They earn those wins. But man, like 5-7, I'm just not okay with it. Keenan Allen once took a selfie of himself wearing a Raiders hat. I believe it was back in 2013 when he was a rookie. He is a Raider fan. Raider Geo. Keenan Allen is a Raider fan. I seen a picture of, it was Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen shaking hands, and somebody was that the caption was, one is living the dream, one is in denial and not wanting to join the Shield. And hopefully, man, imagine that duo, Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams together. I mean, like I said, I like Matt Collins, but he still makes some mistakes out there, dropping passes. He can't really get off his releases. He's a decent wide receiver, but I would like to get an actual wide receiver too to complement Adams next year. Now, I want to pop this question. We're going to get some game MVPs real quick, and then we're going to go into our discussion because I feel like we have to bring this up. I'm probably one of the biggest Carr haters out there, which I'm not. I'm just very critical of our leader. Now, our game MVPs for the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to give it to none other than Devontae. Now, I know a lot of people will probably give it to Josh Jacobs or even Derek Carr, but I'm going to give it to Devontae Adams because some of the catches that this man was making, routes that he was running, these DBs did not stand a chance out there running with Devontae at all. So I got to give it to Devontae. Like I said, I mean, look at his stat line. Catches 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. Without Devontae Adams, Derek Carr has nowhere to go with the football. You would take those 2 touchdowns away from him. But because he has a guy like Devontae, he has the best receiver on his team. Derek Carr was having a field day against that Chargers defense. And I got to give that game ball to Devontae. Devontae is showing that he is still one of the best receivers in the league. As for the defense, I think we can give it to Chandler Jones as he had 3 sacks on the day. So got to give it to Chandler Jones. And then he had 5 quarterback hits. He was all over Justin Herbert. He was making Justin Herbert make indecisive throws, very inaccurate with the football. So shout out to Chandler Jones. Another guy I wanted to give a shout out, not really an MVP, but a shout out, Isaiah Palomalu. He did have a sack in the game, and he did get a couple of pressures. And I think he had two quarterback hits against Justin Herbert. And then for the most part, when they dropped him in coverage, you didn't really hear his name a lot, whether it was a penalty or even a blown coverage. So he must have been doing something right. So I got to give shout out to him because I really want to see what he bring to this Raiders defense. And I'm really liking the future of these future young guys. Salute to my man, Alice Ghost. Alice Ghost. DC was cooking. I'll give him that. I will give him that. Derek Carr was cooking. So here's the discussion of the day, guys. The discussion of the night. We got 9 people in the chat room. Guys, if you guys are not subscribed yet, join the Boudica party. We are at 211 subscribers. We're trying to get to 500 by the end of the season. Like the video if you haven't already, and share the link around. I want to get as many people on this conversation as possible because this is going to turn into a debate. Okay, this is going to turn into a big debate. But At 2-7, I said this: Derek Carr's not going to be here next season because they are losing. They are, they're 2-7, they're losing, but now they're on a 3-game winning streak. They're 5-7, and I said if Derek Carr's winning, then there's a likely chance he will come back. So with that being said, guys, where do you guys view Derek Carr's job right now? Is Derek Carr safe, or does he still have to prove something to, like, if you're Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, and hypothetically speaking, they need to see something out of Derek Carr, is this enough to keep him for one more year, or you need to see more out of DC going into to finish the season? I feel, guys, that Derek Carr's job is still up for grabs. And this isn't me because, oh, you're a Carr hater, you always been hating on Carr. No, this is because we're 5-7. Okay, reality has to hit us at some point. We're not 7-5. We're not 8-4. We're on a 3-game winning streak, but we are 5-7 still. As I said in the beginning of the live, we are 5-7, looking in, needing a lot of teams to lose in order for us to have a shot. Now, is the road to the playoffs? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? There is, because, like I said, you're playing a Rams team who's beat up. You're playing then a Patriots team whose offense can't score. You're gonna go again, like the last stretch of our season, very winnable games that we could sneak into the playoffs. But you still got to go play those games. We should have beaten the Jaguars. We should have beaten the Cardinals. We should have beaten the Chiefs. We got shut out by a Saints team that we thought, we could go in there and possibly squeeze out a win. No, we couldn't even cross the 50-yard line. We can't act like we haven't seen what this team can do, but they also have been inconsistent. We've seen what they can do these past 3 games. They can be a dominant team on the offense side of the ball, and if the defense makes enough stops, then they're going to complement this offense. But we also seen inconsistency, and it starts with, I'm sorry, Alex Ghost, it starts with your guy and Derek Carr. I've seen more inconsistency with Derek Carr and this offense, whether it came from the receivers dropping passes, the offensive line being unable to block, but even Derek Carr not being able to make every throw out there on the field. He's overthrowing or underthrowing, or he's just missing wide open people, receivers that are open. He's locking on to one guy. I don't want to see that next week. I want to see consistency. So far, he's going out there and he's doing what he needs to do to go win the football game. He threw 3 touchdowns last week, threw 2 touchdowns this week, but his numbers are average. I hate to say it, like, his numbers are still average. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna spew my words and think, oh, he's hating on Derek. I'm not. Like, I'm still at the end. I'm analyzing his stats, and yeah, he won. Stats were not great stats. His stats are the same stats that he does when we lose. They're 2 touchdowns. He gets over maybe 250 yards, close between 250 280. Average stats. That's what we have to look at. That's why I want to ask people this question. Those people who was calling for Josh McDaniels' heads, now that Derek Carr is cooking, as some people, as Alsgo said, is Josh McDaniels cooking also? Let me ask you guys that. Is Josh McDaniels the reason we're winning? Because a lot of people said Josh McDaniels was the reason we were losing games, which I could agree. There was a lot of questionable play calling out there, but the main thing that I seen was players not executing Josh McDaniels' playbook. But now we see what happens when they execute their play, when they execute his playbook. The flea flicker, beautiful play call. We see what happens when we give DC time and Devontae Adams doesn't have Hunter Renfrow out there running into him. We've seen, every single play from the running game to the passing game, from the play calling itself, when they were executing Josh McDaniels' playbook, by far, this is what the team we get from the play. Now it's okay. My mic went out, guys. Sorry about that. So yeah, I gotta agree. DC was cooking, but let's ask that question for those people that said Josh McDaniels needed to be fired at 2-7 because he sucks as a coach. He's not leading anyone with this. That was a lot of I was going, and I'm not saying it's you, but it was a lot of Derek Carr fans that I was seeing on social media calling for Josh McDaniels' heads, and there was a lot of people like need to look elsewhere with the head coach after the season. This continues to the what we see on the field, like 2-7, then 2-8, you continue losing. Might need to look elsewhere. But now that we're 5-7, and a lot of people are saying Derek Carr's cooking, Derek Carr, is playing good football. Like, okay, I would agree with that. But let's give some love to Josh McDaniels. Let's give some love to Josh McDaniels. Osgo said he's gotten better as a play caller. I think he was always good as a play caller, Osgo. I think it was play decisions. It was decision making, when to call a play, when to call a timeout, that Josh McDaniels needed to still get better at. But as a play caller and like play design, I think he was good. And like I said, player execution is what made his play calling look really like suspect. Salute the man. I hope you're having a good Monday, man. Raider Geo. Derek was balling after he learned Gruden's system. He's doing okay for his first year with the new system, but maybe another year will help him adapt to the playbook to its full potential, like Gruden. Raider Geo, and that's what I'm thinking, and that's why I wanna cut back down, on the Carr hate for me. I'm gonna give some love to Derek Carr because now I'm thinking, I'm like, is Derek Carr getting more comfortable in Josh McDaniels' playbook? It looks like he is. It's like you said, what if we give another year to Derek Carr? And is now having another year under Josh McDaniels' system, is that going to unlock that he can be, the potential that he can take this team? And that's the thing. That's all I want from Derek Carr, is lead this team to a Super Bowl, lead this team to a championship. The problem is, can I see Derek Carr doing that? I cannot. He's always struggled to win big games. Now, I will say these last 3 games were big games, and he's done his part to win them. But it doesn't stop. With the Rams, that's a big game. Every game from now on is a big game. You got to go win those games. And if the Raiders squeeze into the playoffs, all you have to do is get there, guys. That's all I say. All you have to do is get to the playoffs. It doesn't matter what you did in the regular season. What matters is what you do in the playoffs. We've seen it with the 2019 Baltimore Ravens, number 1 seed, and they lose in round first game in the playoffs to a Titans wildcard team. And then same, look at the Tennessee Titans. First seed, had a first round bye, had all the hype going into the playoffs because of what they did in the season, and they lose against a wild card Bengals team. So all for the Raiders, the main goal that I say for the Raiders, you need to get into the playoffs, because whatever happens in the playoffs will happen in the playoffs, because what you did in the regular season does not matter. Does not matter what you did in the regular season. What matters is what you do in the playoffs. That's why we look at guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and we look at, even Jimmy Garoppolo, because when Jimmy Garoppolo gets to the playoffs, he gets the Niners deep into the playoffs. Maybe can't win the Super Bowl or win the championship, but he can win playoff games. Joe Burrow wins playoff games. Josh Allen wins playoff games. Patrick Mahomes wins playoff games. That's all I want to see with Derek Carr and the entire Raiders team. Can you guys go out there and win a playoff game? Because it doesn't matter how you guys got there. What matters is you guys got there, but now what matters is how are you guys going to continue your season from ending? Let's see. That Raiders fan, it's all about execution. It's all the little things that count. Don't shoot yourselves in the foot. And that Raiders fan, I feel like that's what this offense is based off. That's what Josh McDaniels is preaching. Okay, as long as we take care of the football and we play our style of offense, we cannot be beaten in the NFL. But if we shoot ourselves in the foot, whether it's throwing pick sixes or it's Josh Jacobs fumbling the football, that's what's going to shoot yourself in the foot. Look at it. When those 2 turnovers happened, we fell into a 10-0 hole. I know the Chargers didn't do nothing with the Josh Jacobs fumble, But the thing is, we couldn't get any momentum going because we had 2 turnovers right away to start off, and the Chargers took advantage of that, jumped out to a 10 lead. They'll come back and really gain momentum on our side, but we also seen happens when we can play a good game of football, when we protect the football. Yeah, we had games where we lost, but that was because we couldn't really get anywhere. We're throwing 2-yard passes. We weren't stretching the field. We weren't moving the football. Like, look what happens when we're scoring at will. Look what happens when we get to the red zone. We have to make this defense play honest. And then on the flip side of that, look what happens when our defense doesn't have to play the entire game, when they actually get rest. When the Raiders are sustaining drives, the Raiders defense is not going to give up a lot of big plays. Yeah, they gave up a 4th and 12 touchdown. I seen it coming, but still they held the charge to 1 touchdown in the second half. And that's great adjustments. They scored 13 points in the first, and then the Raiders defense only allowed 7 points in the second. Guys, there's a lot of optimism that we can look at from the game yesterday. Of course, there was mistakes made that, of course, we know these players are going to clean. I don't know if you guys seen the victory speech, but it seems like these players are playing for something. They're playing for Josh, and they want to try to make the playoffs, even though it's very, very slim right now. But you can see that they're hungry. There's something different about this 5-7 Raiders compared to the 2-7 Raiders. I'll say that. Raider Gio, I would definitely still like a young mobile quarterback. But for now, I say keep Carr and try to restructure for sure. And Raider Gio, that's what I'm hoping for. But I don't see them restructuring his contract. Maybe they might restructure to try to just get more money, try to move it to the offensive line, try to move that money to the defense, try to go get more guys on the offensive line and the defensive side of the ball. Because right now, guys, we're at the 10th overall pick. I believe 10th or 12th overall pick. So we can count out getting a Jalen Carter, getting a Will Anderson in the draft. Could we still get a defensive guy? Of course, but those are 2 generational talents that you're going to miss out on unless for some reason we trade up, which I don't see happening. So I would love Derek Carr to his contract. I would love to see Darren Waller restructure his contract and maybe Hunter Renfrow restructure his contract because there's a lot of money going to them and they are not performing. Not Derek Carr. I'm talking about Waller and Renfrow. They're hurt. They're on the sideline. I know that injuries happen in the NFL, but at the same time, your best ability is availability, and you guys are not available. You guys are not on the field, and when you guys were on the field, you guys were not doing anything. So I think they should restructure the contract and let's balance the money out. Let's put money on the offensive line. Let's put money on the defense. And, as we know, Derek Carr and Renfrow and Waller and Adams, they're going to still be getting paid. And then we got to think about what we're going to do with Josh Jacobs. Are we going to sign him to a contract? Are we going to franchise tag him? Are we going to let him walk? Like, there's a lot of decision makings that are going to be made next year, Raider Gio, that it's just like, and it's going to start with Derek Carr. I hate to say it's going to start with Derek Carr because you got to figure out what you're going to do with that contract. $34 million for to pay Derek Carr. I just don't see. I don't think he earns that money. If I say that, he is more in my book of like a $22 million quarterback or a $20 million quarterback. That is who Derek Carr is to me. He plays like a $20 million quarterback. Alice Ghost, I'll be honest, I was hating on Josh. Alice Ghost, I appreciate, you being open about that, And like I said, my biggest thing of defending Josh McDaniels was execution. These players were not executing. Like if they executed, we would have won. We probably would have beat the Cardinals, or we probably, we likely would have beaten the Chiefs, if Renfrow didn't run into Devontae Adams, and same with the Jaguars. Like, it's just executing. And, Devontae Adams spoke on it, that it's just players, probably, thinking too much, like not calming down and not, just do your job. Like, that's all that Devontae said. Do your job, calm down. No moment is too big. Like, don't overthink it. And he also did say that people weren't, some players weren't buying in. I'm just glad, winning helps though. Winning helps to push all that drama aside. The numbers. Are you expecting Waller and Renfrow on the field Thursday? The numbers, because I already spoke about this, I'll make it quick. I do expect Waller, but I feel like he might be a game time decision on Thursday because it is a short week and he still is coming off a hamstring injury. With Renfrow, I just feel because we are really getting no news about. We're getting more news about Waller than Renfrow, so I feel like because of that, I just feel we won't see Renfrow on the field Thursday, and he might come back next week. Salute Domenis, what's going on, man? Hope you're having a good Monday. Alex goes, learning a new offense is like learning a new language. McDaniel said that today. And yeah, Alex goes, I'll agree with you on this too. DC is getting better under the system. He is showing that he is getting better. He feels more comfortable. He feels more in control of this offense. And so I like what I see. And man, I see this too. The numbers, defense is clicking at the right time. What's crazy about this, guys, is this Raiders team is looking like they're getting hot at the right time. Now, fortunately, they started 2-7. Imagine if they were let's say, if they were like 5-4 or 4-5, like they were in the middle of the pack, like I said, and they were catching heat right now at 4-5, winning 3 games, you're 7-5, or if you're 5-4, winning 3 games, you're 8-4. Like, just think about that. That's why I'm saying, they're getting hot, but is it too late? Like, that's what that's where it's hard for me to really buy into like playoff talk. Of course, I'm going to give you guys a playoff picture because I'm not going to be biased. I'm a Raider fan. I want to give you guys every single information about the Raiders, and the Raiders mathematically can still make the playoffs. They have a chance. And then I also gave you guys the injury report. I want to give you guys all Raiders news. I'm not just going to be biased and be like, oh, I'm not going to show you guys the playoff picture or give you guys information because I still believe the Raiders are not going to make the playoffs. Even though it's a small window, they can make the playoffs. Do I believe they're going to make the playoffs? Got to go play the games. That's what I'll say. You got to go play the games because if we see the Raiders from the last 3 games come out against the Rams and come out against the Patriots, very good chance they can make the playoffs. But if we see the Raiders that started off 2-7 come out and play these next few games, pack the bags, boys. Look what happens when our defense gets sacks from players other than Max. Man, Alex goes, that's what I'm talking about. And it starts with another guy that I should have probably brought up in the game MVPs. Tillery, Jeffrey Tillery, guys. Ever since we signed him and added him to our interior defensive line, my goodness, the pressure on the quarterback has just gotten way better. Chandler Jones, they've been talking about how he's starting to get hot at the same time that we signed Tillery to the squad, and Max is getting help. Max didn't really do, he didn't get a sack yesterday, but he was still being disruptive, still getting to Justin Herbert, forcing some passes that were incomplete, getting close to a couple of interceptions from Rockinson and Trayvon Merrick. I believe one was high. Trayvon he bit underneath, and he didn't. If he just sat where he was at, he probably could have got an interception. But yeah, goes. That's what I like to see from the defense. I love to see that. Raider Gio Primos, would you have took that 2nd round pick from Waller from Green Bay? Yes, I would. And here's why. This isn't the first time we have not seen Darren Waller not play or have being injured. He was like this last season. He missed 6 games, I believe, last season due to injury. And then when he came back, he got re-injured again. And then I believe he missed like 2 more games after that. I could be wrong though. I know he missed like 7 or 8 games, I believe, last season. So I would have took that. Now this is saying I wouldn't even have to the contract that we originally signed him to. Now, because we did sign him to that contract, I was like, you got to get rid of that contract. He is just injury prone right now. Now, if he goes to the Packers and kills it, he goes to Packers and kills it. But at the same, what if he just stays here and he continues to staying injury prone? Now we got to eat that contract that we're paying all this type of money for him just to sit on the bench when we could be using that money for defense, using that money for offensive line, and you could pay Foster Moreau, who is a decent tight end, and he can come in and not really fill those shoes at Waller because Waller's a different type of tight end. He's a different type of athlete, but still, he is a decent tight end that you can pay for cheap, and he's a solid tight end one that you can build around. So yeah, I would have took that 2nd round pick because anything to add more draft capital. You go from 13 to having 14 picks in next year's draft. Ziegler will have a field day on building up the defense and building up the offensive line with 14 picks. I mean, he has 13, so you're still picks to work with. But adding 14, you wouldn't, nothing wrong with that. That Raiders fan, the NFL's business, players come and go. This is facts. This is why I wouldn't be mad of letting Darren Waller walk. Maybe even letting Josh Jacobs walk. Now, Josh Jacobs is on a tear right now. So, of course, it is something you have to discuss within the front office. Because Josh Jacobs is going to want to test free agency. Why? Because he's going to see where can he get paid. Because at the same time, he's going to want to get paid. And he's going to get paid by it's a different team. The only way I can see is keeping Josh Jacobs is if we franchise tag him and we try to work a contract out. Raider Gio, right now, I did hit him up. Boy, Natural Nate is watching the Monday Night Football game with his pops. So I'm letting him have some family time. I don't want to, interrupt that. Always got to take advantage of having family time. You never know when they're going to be gone. We lost a couple family members this year, really, a lot of family members. So, take advantage of that, guys, when you guys are spending times with your sons, your fathers, mothers, cousins. Guys, just take advantage of that. Take advantage of spending time with your family, whether it's watching football or just spending time, especially during the holidays. There's a lot of people out there that, could use a family member or you just some sort of love during the holidays. So spread the love, guys, out and keep it at it. Owls says, I don't like the idea of adding 13 to 14 rookies. Owls I can see where you're coming from. Because you never know if they're going to pan out or not. But at the same time, they're going to come in on cheap deals. That's the benefit of having, a rookie that's a hit. You're paying a guy like, for example, Nate Hobbs and, Max Crosby before we signed him. They were on rookie contracts. They were getting paid cheap for really giving us a really big, investment into the organization and really like a first round pick, even though they're mid-round picks. So I like the idea of adding 13 to 14 rookies, but I will say this again, like I've always said with the draft, it matters who you draft. If Ziegler can hit on about 8 out of those 13 picks, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Beerus, our Patriot Primo, is up in here, and yep, he is going to be tagging along with me for the Raiders game. Hopefully we beat the Patriots so I can rub it in his face. 5-7 team, or hopefully 6 when we get there. Jones isn't playing the best football. I'll say that. It seems they're missing Josh McDaniels. It was funny. There was a lot of discussion about Josh McDaniels. If to get fired, he was going to go back to the Patriots as the offensive coordinator. But if people look at the offensive rankings, the Raiders actually have a better offense than the Patriots do. The Raiders are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are the number 7th ranked offense compared to the Patriots, who's the middle of the pack. Actually, not in the middle of the pack. They're in the back of the pack, along with like the Colts, the Steelers. They're averaging 16 points a game, and the Raiders are at 24.3. So it's going to be an interesting game week 15. But we're not going to preview that game. We're going to preview the Rams and the Raiders. And Raider Gio, how about Deron Harmon? He is either causing a fumble or getting a pick. Dude is a dog. And Raider Gio, I want to look at Deron contract because I know we probably signed him on a cheap deal. Get his contract really quick with the Raiders. Because let me see. It is okay, so it is a 1-year deal. You gotta, and that's another guy I feel like you gotta look to bring back. He's on a 1-year deal and he is performing. He, like you said, he is either causing a fumble or he's getting, that dude is everywhere. He is following the ball, whether it's in the run or it's on a pass play, following somebody, or like you said, disrupting a pass or even getting. He leads the team in turnovers caused, and he also leads the team in interceptions, I believe, with 3 interceptions. either 3 or 2. Could be wrong. But I know he leads the team in interceptions and turnovers caused. So that's another guy that we got, come in this coming off season, guys. We have a lot of people that we need to look at their contracts and see who we're going to bring back. Rockinson, 1-year contract. I would love to see us bring him back. He has been playing, a good compliment to Nate Hobbs. Deron Harmon is a guy that I would love to bring back. And then, you have to look at the contract situation with Derek Carr, Darren Waller, and Hunter Renfrow, because you got to look at how you're going to bring Josh Jacobs back other than the franchise tag. It would be awesome to have Josh Jacobs on a long-term deal, but I just don't see us having money to pay him on a long-term deal. At least pay him for the money that he's going to want to get. I just don't see it. But guys, I wanted to come on here and give you guys a recap of yesterday's game and give my thoughts. Thank you to everybody who joined in the chat. To Raider G fans, to Owls Ghost, to Beerus, to Chansworthy. Shout out to you guys for coming in, joining the chat. It was a quick live. I will try to go live tomorrow with our Primo Nate. I'll try to reach out to him. We could get him on get him back on. But we're gonna look for preview the Rams and the Raiders. Stay tuned for that. Like I said, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Hit the bell so you guys can be notified, and hit the like. But as always, we 5-7. It's always going to be Raiders.